Sure.
Hello, we're back, and we're joined today from Cape Town, South Africa, by and to above me, Ryan Kruger, the director of the heroin addict possessed by an alien comedy, Fried Berry, and most recently, Street Trash, which is now available all over on all sorts of different streaming platforms, also on Blu-ray, DVD, I think, also by Sean Cameron Michael, who is, above. I can't point to him for some reason. John Cameron Michael, who is the star of an impressive 106 IMDb credits. Probably not the star of all of them, but has 106 IMDb credits. Most importantly to us today are credits from Fried Berry and Street Trash. So you have been in both of Ryan's films, and maybe you'll be in future films. Who knows?
There's a strong possibility.
Yeah, I did, research some IMDb, and I saw that there were a couple of titles in production that were kind of interesting. I don't know if you guys want to talk about that right now or not, but
I think it depends on the titles.
uh,
Yeah. I was
well,
gonna say.
there was one for which Ryan was listed in production as an actor, and one that is a movie. Ryan is listed as director upcoming, so
Yeah, I probably can't speak about any of
can't speak about
those.
that. Can't speak about either of them.
And yeah, not really, because the one they haven't even put press out properly for it, and then the other one kind of the same.
All
But
right.
some cool stuff coming. And there's
Oh,
other stuff what I'm working on, what
all
we
right.
can chat about.
But there is stuff in the pipeline is most important. So okay, we got
Yeah.
that. To start out, I'm sure Giles will want to ask a lot of questions about specifically Street Trash. I think he reviewed both your movies. So
Okay.
Yeah, I did the smaller review for Fried Berry. You did the
oh, I did.
yeah.
We both
Uh,
saw Fried Berry. But before we got into that, I just am curious if you guys could explain the context for making films in South Africa today, because we do not see a lot of South African films here in the US. So what is it like there? Is there a established ecosystem, or are you pretty much making it up as you go along?
Sure. Do you want to take this?
South Africa has been a facilitating company. Is that the right word, Ryan? Facilitating company, support company, or country to many international, TV series and films being shot over here just because it's cheaper to shoot in South Africa. You get more bang for your buck. So over the past, 30, 40 years, so many major productions have been shot here. I mean, like Invictus with Morgan Freeman and Matt Damon, Clint Eastwood's Invictus, Safe House with Ryan Reynolds and Denzel, and obviously more recently, One Piece for Netflix, which they've, I believe, just wrapped season two. So yeah, South Africa is very, very popular to shoot international productions. There's good, tax rebates. I think they get something like 35% back on tax rebates and stuff. And also they don't have to contend with any unions, no actors unions, no crew unions, so they can work us to the bone.
Yeah. I think South Africa's always been known as that service country when it comes to overseas films coming to shoot here. Cape Town is also one of the biggest places in the world for commercials. But our own industry, it's been very interesting, over the last 20 years and more. In the 70s and 80s, we had a lot of different like genre movies that was made here and stuff, and then it kind of like fizzled out early 90s. And we don't really do like a lot of genre stuff, but over the years, the industry, especially in the last 10 years, the industry has really started to grow more and more over the years. And I think, we're known in South Africa for the stuff that we make here. There's a lot of dramas, there's a lot of slapstick comedy. So when it comes to, and a lot of crime stuff more recently, but when it comes to genre stuff, I think we're only just starting to like really open the doors where we can, you know, do more and more creative stuff. I think people are seeing that, films like Fried Barry and like Street Trash that is, set in South Africa and not set somewhere else. And I think the world is slowly starting to realize a little bit more with South Africa because of District 9 and because of these other films that get shot here. So I think we're still kind of new on the scene for it. It's like when you hear accents in film. I think South Africa is still starting to get out there more, but I think, films like District 9 and stuff like that, I think it helped a lot. But I think the position that we're in now, you know, making these sort of genre films that, people can see that we can make different types of things. It's just, I think South Africa is still pretty conservative. So when it comes to certain things, they're still like, oh, that's a bit crazy. Oh, that's a bit mad. But it works. And you guys overseas and everything love it. And there is a lot of people that love it also in South Africa and they want to do more. So for me as a filmmaker, making these type of films, it's also great for other filmmakers that they know that it's bankable to make these type of films.
Oh, great. So yeah, so I get a much better feeling of what it is all about to make films in South Africa, and I guess specifically in Cape Town. Both your movies are very, very centered around Cape Town, though not the kind of touristy version
Yeah.
we would know. Giles, do
I
you
think
have?
I think
Oh,
it's almost people go, "Where's that?" I never want to go there because South Africa is a beautiful place, especially Cape Town. It's a beautiful place, and most people come shoot here because we got a place that will either look like Spain or Italy and all these different locations. And I was like, yeah, I want to show the underbelly of South Africa and Cape Town, and yeah, I think. Maybe it's either people coming here on a fried Barry tour, or they're not coming here now.
oh yeah, I have actually been to Cape Town, and I would not recognize any of those locations. Those are not places we visited on the tour guide. So, Giles, do you have some questions for our guest?
Yeah, I guess I'll kick off with a sort of offhand one that'll hopefully segue into a larger element here. The mayor of this Cape Town 2050, Mayor Mustard. I was kind of
Thanks for
curious.
for
Is
context.
Yeah, yeah. He's the evil mayor in the Street Trash movie with his various ambitions. I was just briefly curious: is he based on anyone specific, or is more of an amalgam, perhaps?
Yeah, I was. Yeah, he wasn't. I think a lot of people reached out and said, "Is he based on?" I can't even remember now that what people said, but yeah, it was just. Yeah, it wasn't
Donald
really
Trump?
based on Donald Trump. Could be Donald Trump. Yeah, he was just. I guess he's just that Donald Trump, Elon Musk sort of dude. I guess.
Power hungry, power hungry, in charge of the 1%,
So,
trying to
Yeah.
take over the world. Yeah.
an archetype embodiment there. Oh, yeah, it leads to, yeah, because I was kind of curious because yeah, you've told us about the filming scene, and again, I'll ask this for our American viewers here. Could you briefly describe kind of the socioeconomic, political things going on there? Because there's some universal things in this movie, and I also imagine there are some South Africa, Cape Town specific things that might do well to have viewers hereabouts have a better grounding in that.
Brian, do you want to shall I? Yeah, shall I have a go? Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, I think a lot of the themes in Street Trash, is about that sort of disparity between the 1%, rich and the 99% homeless, starving. And that's a universal problem. I mean, I've spent the past 10 years in Los Angeles. So when I venture out to Skid Row, you're going to find that in South Africa, but you're also going to find that anywhere in the world. So absolutely. I mean, street trash isn't necessarily, going out to make any kind of sort of socio-economic political statements. And it is kind of set in the year 2050. But in some ways, it's actually present day right now. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's Ryan. I mean, what do you think? Were you trying to go out to make some statements?
Yeah, well, it's the one thing I wanted with this film, kind of what the original done as well, was there is a social commentary there, what's going on in the world. As Sean said, it's everywhere in the world now with the homeless. It's a major problem, and I think with what I showed in Street Trash, and also just having that government. I mean, I think we all know from going through what's the word? Um, I can't get the word in
The
my head.
pandemic?
Yeah, yeah, so yeah, going through the sorry, still waking up. Going through the pandemic and and what that was like, with the government saying, you got to wear a mask or you got to have this jab and you got to do this and you got to do that. So, there is that social message there on the backdrop of the movie, but at the end of the day, it is a gory, fun movie. You either pick that up or you don't. But yeah, and it's not like I'm trying to win an Oscar for this movie
Oh,
or
no,
anything
no,
like
no.
that. But there is that social message, and if you pick it up, then it's
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean,
and
I mean,
it's quite relevant, like, as Sean said.
yeah. I mean, it's just this whole thing, because we, globally went through this pandemic where we had a government, telling us what to do, stay indoors. And I'm not sure about the States, but certainly South Africa, where we were told, you're not allowed to walk on the beach, you're not allowed to walk in the forest, it's too dangerous.
Yeah,
And that to me
and
was,
they banned cigarettes as well.
they banned cigarettes. So it was okay to do crack cocaine or heroin, but nicotine was really, really bad for you, purely because the government couldn't make money out of the sales of cigarettes. Or so it's one of the things where I really believe where society at is that globally is that if there was another pandemic, I think certainly in the States and certainly in South Africa and all over the world, I think society will go, well, screw you. We're not going to do that. They would rebel. They would fight back. And that definitely comes across very strongly in Street Trash. It is about the people fighting back against power, about against governments trying to kill them off or control them. So I think that's very relevant right now.
Ah, yeah, yeah. It's does wear it on its sleeve, and I guess makes me wonder. So you have part social commentary in one degree or another. You have part ensemble comedy because you got all the characters hanging around with their larking, and that is interspersed by the third part, which was an excuse to disintegrate people. Um, and I'm curious. I guess precisely. Thank you, Greg. Good image there. So
This
I
is
guess
like a
this
normal day in Cape Town. That's just
Yeah.
so this may be more for Ryan Kruger as the writer director here, but of course, we got the leader of the ensemble comedy with us, Sean. Uh, this balancing act, how did you attain it? First, I'm guessing in the script, and then with making the movie, and that you're having these three things interplay, and you don't want to overdo any one of them.
yeah. I mean, when they approached me to do the film, the American producers, I knew of Street Trash. It was one of those films that I grew up on watching, and there's a lot of things that's in the original film where there's a social commentary there. It's in New York. It's in the 80s. the original had a very loose, loose story, and had these great melts. With me, straight away, as soon as they approached me, I didn't want to make it. I didn't want to make a remake. Straight away, I wanted to make a loose a sequel in that world. And I guess, if you've seen Fry Barry and you look at Fry Barry and look at Street Trash, obviously, I love writing dialogue. I love characters. I really wanted to make this Street Trash as a loose sequel in the same world, and then for a new audience, it can be a standalone film. I mean, there's many people that haven't seen the original Street Trash as well. But yeah, I just wanted to make this more narrative, and even with the melts, and obviously, I need to tick those boxes. I definitely wanted to be about homeless people. I definitely wanted to have in-camera prosthetics. So yeah, it's one of those ticking off those boxes, but to make sure that it's character driven. And if we look at all the cast, they're all great. They're all very different to the next, and they all have their moments and stuff. So yeah, I just think it was important to have a more narrative film. And even if you take away the prosthetics, that there's still a strong character and a still strong story.
So, speaking of prosthetics, that gives me some questions more on a practical level. So, first off, I was wondering, did you study the original movie and its effects and try to stay true to that and use some of the same effects that they used? It's similar looking.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, again, there's a certain DNA that makes a street trash movie.
Mm.
So, you've got the homeless, you've got you had the Viper, you had the Viper drink in the original film, and in this, we had a few scenes with the Viper drink, but it's also different with the gas and stuff like that. And then there's the multicolored goo with from drinking or from the gas. So yeah, we did look at the original film, but also to try do something a little bit different, but also. I mean, there's a lot of Easter eggs in the movie. There's a lot of nods, to the original film. As a fan of the original film as well, I wanted to be, the true fans of Street Trash. They'll see, if you're a fan of the original, you'll see those nods and those maybe one-liners or all the things that relate back to the first one. And even in this film, we talk about the original film as well. So yeah, so I think it's about ticking those boxes, keeping that DNA from the original to make sure that it's the old audience likes it, like myself, like a fan, and also a new audience uh, coming in, watching this film.
All right. And a very specific question, I guess. What is actually, I'm curious, what is actually the goo? What is the composition of it? It looks like
I think we
runny.
spoke about this, didn't we, last time, Sean? So I think so. Obviously, there was different colors and different paints used, and slime or gelatine or what did we say last time, Sean? Because there was a mixture of stuff, wasn't it?
I mean, I spoke to the effects guys, and they said it was kind of similar to the stuff that they used in Alien. But yeah, it was a mixture of chemicals and but also very specifically, it had to be something that you could clean up and reset
Mhm.
pretty quickly. So it was almost rubberized in a way
Mm.
because we shot at so many locations that we were really lucky to get, like Cape Town Stadium, and the Civic Center in Cape Town, as well. So it had to be something where you could blow up bodies and make a total mess, but at the same time be able to go in and clean up. But yeah, it was expensive stuff.
Mm. All right. Giles.
Oh yeah, well I guess moving for now at least, away from the glorious explodey special effects here, and more to the human element. Looking at the cast for Street Trash, and then looking at the cast for Fried Berry, there are a lot of overlapping names, and I wonder if you might talk a little bit about how you came across these people and developed them into, I might almost call them a troupe, if you will, of troop of the willing, who are happy to kind of go out there because they're very easy with each other.
Yeah, I mean, cast in this film, there was a hell of a lot of the cast that was in Fry Barry originally, and then there was, a few, new members in this film. But yeah, a hell of a lot of the cast was in actual Fry Barry, and there is some crossovers with like Sean's character that was playing the same character, just a different version of him, I guess, with the same name. That Sean and Joe Vasta plays Chef. But yeah, the ragtag team was just yeah to get them all together. There was only a few people that actually auditioned for this film, but a lot of the time I was writing for certain people in mind. So, going back to before we started filming, I mean, I think Sean, you were in LA at the time. You were shooting something over there, and I was like, I can't do this film without you. I can't see anybody else playing this character. Like, you got to do it. You have to do it.
And I was just like, show me the money, show me the money. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, I mean, with over 100 cast members or speaking roles or featured extras or whatever, I mean, I think the majority, like really 95% of them, you'd worked with them before on previous short films and music videos and Fried Barry. And it was really only those key characters, obviously myself and Joe Vaz, who plays Chef. I mean, obviously, Joe and I have known each other for over 30 years. So, that chemistry was really important for those characters. So that was really easy for us. Donna, Donna Cormack Thompson, who plays Alex, I think she was probably the most difficult to cast. And luckily,
Yeah.
I'd also worked with Donna last year a serial killer series called Catch Me a Killer. So I got to know Donna on that. So I sort of, highly recommended her to Ryan. I was like, she could be, I think she has the right elements for what we need, for Alex's character. She's our leading lady. It needs to be a really, really strong, versatile, actress. And then obviously Sheree and Lloyd, I mean, their chemistry was really important as well.
Yeah. Everybody has their thing. You've got this kind of fatherly figure, the leader of the gang, Ronald, played by Sean, and then it's almost the mother, Chef, and then you've got the comic relief, the two twins, and then with Gary playing Two-Bit, he's just this wacky, crazy guy. So everybody has their little piece, and they're all different, and that's what I love about it. No, no character was the same, and even Sokol and Gary, I think they were just like a fun duo that wasn't overdone in the film and just comes in and out of it, which was cool. But going back to even working with Sean and Joe Vass. What was awesome about that was for me and Sean, we've been friends for many years and we've worked together a lot of times over the years. When I made Fry Barry, one of my favorite scenes was Sean's and Joe's scene in Fry Barry breaking out of the mental institute. But I've always wanted, to work with Sean as a lead in a movie. So when this film came about and I knew Sean was doing it, I just felt a lot of comfort because I was like, I really couldn't see anybody else doing this role, and Sean just nailed this character, and there's a lot in that character. I mean, there's a lot of depth in that character, and that's why I'm saying it's not just the Melt movie. You take the Melts out, these characters are strong, and everybody's got a backstory. Everybody goes through, these emotions and stuff. So yeah, it was. I think the first day it was very special to be on set to do street trash, to know that Sean and Joe are going to go on this, all of us are going to go on this journey together to make this film. So yeah, it was pretty special.
I mean, just to add to what Ryan was saying was that look, we all knew going in. I mean, Ryan knew going into this, he had to live up to the original Street Trash and that sort of cult following that it had, even though the majority of the fans of the original Trash maybe died 30 years ago because it's so old. But the thing is, we knew going in we had to make a horror movie, that would pay tribute to the original. So there were certain things, we needed to find a location, as in the original movie, which really pays sort of homage to New York. Where this movie needed in some way to kind of pay respect to Cape Town, so it had to be location specific. Um, but and also we knew, the with all the melts, we knew that that was a strong element of the movie which had to be top notch. A lot of budget and money had to go into making that, tick all the right boxes, and also, shooting on film as well. And my job and Joe's job and our job as actors was to help Ryan really establish these characters so that the audience would, within the first 15, 20 minutes, give a damn about these characters and take them along the journey to keep them engaged and excited. But at the same time, I mean, we also knew, look, this is a horror movie. This is it's explosions, it's effects, and that's where most of the focus is going to be. But if we have any kind of narrative storytelling, if we have any kind of emotion or any kind of feeling in it, then that's sort of a bonus.
Hmm. All right.
Yes. Yeah. Very. Yeah. In its way, character and character explosion driven as a film here. I guess there are two unlikely characters that maybe you can touch briefly upon. You mentioned the name of one of them, and Brian, I believe you voiced that individual.
Sokol.
Yeah, if you might talk about him briefly, and
Ooh.
also rereading my review and thinking on this movie, there's an almost unseen character who springs up maybe three or four times in the movie with either one of these
POV.
or like one of these
Yeah.
from off camera. Um, if you might, what gave you certainly the idea for the latter, and if you can tell us a little bit about that darling blue small creature, Sokol.
Yeah. So, Sokol wasn't in the original. I think he wasn't in the first original draft that we had. The first two or three drafts, he wasn't in there. And Two Bit was in there talking to somebody, and then I got to a point where I was like, so he's got this imaginary friend, but we don't see it. And I was like, what if we actually have a imaginary friend, and it is this thing that only he can see and nobody else can see. I mean, obviously in the original movie there was nothing like this, but I think it still touches base with that 80s 80s vibe of movies. And yeah, there was a number of reasons why I put it in. One for that we actually see, and it pays off later when Sean's character Ronald, takes these drugs, and he can actually see him, and nobody else can see him apart from him and Two Bit. He was also put there for a support boat for Gary Green. Gary's not a trained actor, so I normally work very closely with Gary to get exactly what I want, and I have to jump through quite a lot of hoops to get what I want. But having me doing the voice for this thing on set, it just made me work closer with Gary. And yeah, I just thought it was a good idea, and I didn't overuse him in the film because I think something like this could come across really annoying if it was like too much in your face and too much in there. So I brought him in and out a few times, but yeah, I thought it was a great addition to the film, also to make it a little bit different. But again, it fits that 80s sort of vibe when you look back at a lot of those 80s films. And we had the puppet there was a bit of animatronics, a bit of puppetry, and we just recorded the voice while we are on set.
And awfully.
Oh yeah, sorry. And then
Oh yes,
Offley is
awfully.
the POV guy. And that was just a fun idea that I had, and
We,
it's
I,
also
I think we came up with that in a bar. We were
Hmm.
sitting in a bar, and I think we came up with the idea of Awfully in a bar. The idea of, another character being in a scene the whole time with all these other characters, but you'll maybe see a hand here and there, but you'll never actually get to see this character. And you kind of keep that audience wondering, is the camera actually going to turn around? Are we going to see him? So I think Ryan was really crazy brave in bringing Sokol into the mix, bringing Offley into the mix, because it's such a weird and challenging thing for an audience. So I think you were brave, dude. What do you say,
yeah.
Mr. Kruger?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I think it's good to shake things up a bit, make things different. Also, it just comes down to like a look or a style or a thing that you want to explore. What I've been very lucky to do so early on in my career is that I have a lot of connections within the films that I do with characters. Like originally we shot me and Sean, we shot fucking this is like 10 fucking years ago. We shot a short Time Travelers where Sean played Ronald, and then the other guy, Graham Clark, in the short film Time Travelers, was also in Fry Barry when they break Barry out. So in this Krugerverse of these characters, and I have Offley in another film, and then we mention certain things or the certain characters that's already been in other stuff that I've done, and it's really just expanding that universe, whether it becomes before or after certain films. And I think it's a lot of my films, I have a lot of either 70s and 80s, early 90s, film references of movies that I grew up on that I love, and then there's the references to other films that I've made, or whether it's shorts or features that kind of all these things kind of like connect. And I think it's cool that I've done it earlier on, and I've preempted a lot of stuff to other movies that I want to make that has either certain characters or mention certain people that will be in other films that I make, which is I think is pretty cool.
Oh, right. Well, actually, speaking of other films you want to make, we have just over 5 minutes left. You said you couldn't really talk about a couple of projects, but maybe there were some other things that you can talk about that are on the horizon or that you would like to do.
Yeah, well, right now there's a black and white art house gritty movie that I've just shot with Gary Green, Mr. Fry Barry, and it's about a weirdo Gary that wants to be an actor, but he's a terrible actor, and he wants to be an actor, and he's just doesn't really get that opportunity, and then he does an open audition, gets option for this role, and yeah, and then eventually he goes like full method and starts going crazy and starting killing people. So I've just finished shooting that. So that's going to be that's in post at the moment. But there's many other films on the slate that we're pushing. Although the time's going, and then there's quite a few other productions and films that me and Sean are working on together. And there's one in particular that me and Sean pushing for now, which I can't see too much about, but it's got a lot of twists. It's very different than Fry Barry and Street Trash. It's quite an intelligent movie and a lot of twists and turns, really taking this audience on this journey.
All right. And Sean, what about you? Anything independent of Ryan that you're working on that you can talk about or?
Sean's got his own
Um,
life as well.
yeah, I mean, I've got a couple of movies that are still in post or the finishing, and the one's called Spiral, which is a short film that we shot in Johannesburg. So I think that's already hit one or two festivals, so they'll be coming out at some point. And I've got another movie called This is How the World Ends, which is currently in post-production, which I'm very excited about. But they'll probably come out at the end
That's
of
going
the
to be
year,
cool.
maybe next. Yeah, that's very much a sort of like A24 type movie.
Oh, good.
Um, So yeah, this is how the world ends. And then obviously I have got another A24 movie, Huntington, which has got some cool actors in it. I mean, I can talk about it. I can say, oh, there's a movie called Huntington with Margaret Qualley and Ed Harris and Glenn Powell, which seems like a really fun, exciting movie that was shot in location somewhere, which is for A24 in Studio Canal, which I'm very, very excited about. But yeah, that's all I can say about that one.
We'll probably end up seeing it since it's from A24.
Yeah, you will. Yeah.
Giles, did you want to ask your final question?
Yes, final question we'd like to ask all our interview targets at 366. What's your hometown, and can you recommend a restaurant there?
Hmm. Ryan.
Well, I'm gonna say because we went for dinner the other night and we went to Three Wise Was it Three Wise Monkeys, right?
Yeah.
And they do like the best ramen. Like, so we went there the other day and we had this like really amazing ramen. It was like what was
A
it? A
ramen pho. It was like a brisket, vegetable,
brisket, yeah,
eggy Korean. It was amazing. So Three
yeah.
Wise Monkeys in Sea Point, Cape Town, South Africa. If ever you come to Cape Town,
And
you
I had
have
it
to
for
go to
lunch
Three Wise
yesterday.
Monkeys. Who's addicted? Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
a ramen place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, we got 2 minutes left. I just want to say, I feel like I'm really underdressed, me and Sean. Like, you've got this like cool dressing gown on. You got the bow, you got the dicky bow, and the yeah. What's going on there?
That's branding.
It's Brandon. I like it.
Yeah, I
Giles,
think every podcast you've been in a robe, and I've had a bow tie because at Fantasia, which I've covered a number of years, when I first did it, I knew I needed, okay, I want to stand out a bit. I have a bunch of bow ties. I do collared shirts anyway, and so yeah, it helped me. I was like, oh yeah, I was gonna be interviewed with that guy in the bow tie. So that just
Yeah, yeah. No, that's cool. It's
and
cool.
I actually don't own any clothes. I just wear
You're
robes.
just the
yeah,
Hugh
he's
Hefner.
he's
You're
a
just
happy
like
shut-in.
Exactly.
So.
That's very sort of Playboy Mansion. Yeah, kind of.
Playboy Mansion in by way of Caligari is what I'm going for. So,
I like it. It's cool.
all right. Well, we do have a minute if you just want to gab, or we can, just say
We can have
goodbye. There are stuff coming up from the Krugerverse, but we can't talk about it in detail, sadly. But we will get on it when it arrives. So, any
yeah.
final word?
Yeah. Final word. Go get some ramen in Cape Town.
Love it to Cape
And
Town,
if you have,
everybody.
yeah, and if you haven't yet, check out Street Trash. It's fun, it's silly, it's crazy, and it's a good city ride.
Yeah, and it
Yeah.
is streaming all over. You can rent it or you can find it. I found it for free with ads on, I believe, Plex. I don't know. It's all over the country. Depends on where you are. So,
Yeah.
all right.
Screenbox. Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, guys, and we'll
Guys,
see
thanks so
you
much.
next
Yeah,
week. Bye bye.
pleasure chatting with you.